Hi there. So today I want to show you some of the cards I've made with this Fiesta, birthday Fiesta set. I'm going to show you the set, I'm going to show you the cards, and then I'm going to show you how to make this gift folder with the cards in it. Is that cute or is that cute? I've got two cameras today, so I'm going to hopefully get it shown to both cameras. So first, here is the birthday card. Wishing you the happiest of birthdays. That's one of the stamps on the birthday Fiesta. I keep wanting to call it Fiesta time. It's the birthday Fiesta suite. Here's another one. This one I did on purpose, really easy, so that if you're kind of new, you can do this. This card is just, it's one of the Whisper White stock cards. It's 3.5 by 5. So then I've cut a crumb cake layer and then one of the Fiesta papers layers. Then I did the same thing again, only 1/4 inch smaller, and then I just cocked it a little bit off, keeping it on the card so it'll go in the envelope. And then I used the bunch of banners framelits and I cut out the thanks, and I had this green and white one already cut out because it's in the edge of your die when you get done. It's like a second banner, so I just put that again offset, and I heat embossed the word thanks on there, and that is a really fast and easy way to make a card. You should do a few and keep them on hand. I really thought there was one more. I made this card front, and we're going to work on that right now. This is Fiesta like there's no mañana, and I noticed a lot of people really like that one. And again, I've used the dies. I've cut out the banner, several of the flowers, and the cacti, and I've stamped everything. As you see, I did heat emboss just the sentiment. No, I didn't. I heat embossed this, I heat embossed the flower, and I heat embossed the white decoration on the banner. Okay, then I cut the I rounded all the corners with the Project Life corner rounder. If you don't have this one, this does better small corners than any of my corner rounders, so this is a treat. I rounded all the corners and popped up I think it's adorable. So I have a few cards. Now my plan for you was to take a different set each week and talk about them and make cards. However, you can see this is it takes me longer than that. So here's the card set. It just ties over here like so. And it's a wonderful gift. Mother's Day is coming, so there's a plan for you. Whoops, and don't twist your ribbon like I did when you tie it. And so what we're going to make is this folder and the pocket, and then the little cards. I just, they were quick. They're not perfect. They're all different. See? And I have a special someone I'm going to send mine to. This holds 5 cards. And then you have your front, so you want to make 6 of everything. So what we're going to do now, just go ahead and get started on that. Let's make the folder first, and then we'll make the cards. So for your folder, actually, since while I was screwing around and messing up on that that other one, I went ahead and used what I had messed up for this. So cut a piece of the crumb cake cardstock, 9 1/4 by 5 3/4. All right, when you do that, we'll be caught up to each other. And then, I tried to only put my supplies, and there's still so much I have to have right here. So what we want to do to this is score it at 4 1/4 and 5 inches. So what we're doing is making that fold on the back. Mine was a comedy of errors. If you see it, I didn't score it far enough apart. Oh, I did everything wrong on that one. And my friends liked it anyway, so that's why I'm showing it to you. So we're going to score at 4 1/4. And then again at 5 inches. And that gives us a 3/4 inch. Mine had either a quarter or a half-inch edge, and that was not enough. If you were only doing, you know, fewer cards, or maybe if you didn't have so many layers, that would be okay. Now when you do this, go ahead and flip over and do it again so that you make sure it will fold nicely. And the other thing is, wait a minute, make sure you score in the same place. Come on. People ask me all the time whether you fold here or fold on the bumpy. Now I tend to put the bumpy on the inside because that makes your outside look nice. So there's my outer shell of my folder. And then you want to make the pocket next. So you cut this 8 7/8 by 3 inches. I have used, in my first one, what I've used is the Watermelon Wonder paper. This. And I used it also for the envelope holder. Now, you could use Night of Navy. Night of Navy is really pretty. For some reason, I have a big hang up on Dapper Denim. I feel like it matches so nicely, see, with this set. So I'm using Dapper Denim today, and I'm going to make a different looking set just to show you. So we're going to cut it, the pocket, 8 7/8 by 3. I've sped it up. The picture went a little bit out of the frame. Here I've cut the piece into 8 7/8 by 3 inches. This is going to be your pocket on the inside of the folder. And then I'm going to score it at 3 5/8, 4 1/8, 7 3/4, and 8 1/4. Now you're going to rotate it. I didn't put that piece of paper in there, but there it is. Rotate it and score it at 2 1/2. So here we go. 2 1/2. This is going to make the bottom of your little pocket. Take your scissors, and you can just cut up these lines, but I prefer to snip out a little triangle. Cut out this triangle to make room for the folding. And what you want to do is don't cut into your fold. And see how the fold is, it's kind of wide really when you're getting up in there with the tip of your scissors. So cut to it, but not in it. I usually leave a teeny bit of space in there. And this way, when you fold these pieces up, they'll fit nicely together. Now, with your Stampin' Up, you have 2 different kinds of glue. You have three types of adhesive, excuse me. You have your snail adhesive, you have your Tombow liquid glue, and there's another adhesive that's a little bit sturdier than snail, but in this case, I want to use the liquid glue because especially you tend to give these as gifts and you want them to stay put together. I really question sometimes people using cheaper tape runners, and you know, I just wonder how long those things stay together. Anyway, so what you're going to do is go ahead and put your, let's see, you're going to fold it like this. So your outer, to me, the outer part should be this longer piece, so don't put glue on the outside of that. You can put glue on the inside if you want, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll put the glue inside there, and then outside on these, and all of that's going to go together. Now, I worked my folds to make them really bendy before I turn the camera on. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Wait a minute. I've got to remember that that one is off. So fold it up and go ahead and lay it down. I'm looking for a scrap paper. Ugh, I hate to get glue on this. Well, let's do this. And I'll just do this. Okay, and then take your scissors or something like your scissors and put it down in and really press that seam down so that it will stick. And then once that dries, go ahead and run a thread of glue here, and you'll have your pocket. Okay, now we need to cut the decorative piece, this one, and these are the Fiesta Time papers, that if you're ordering the designer series paper, here it is. They're beautiful colors, and these are only available until, you can see I've used one of these. They're only available until the end of May. This is May 6th, so get in there and order this. The dies, the stamps, the paper is all going away, and it's so cute. So here's the decorative side, and here are the solid sides. And I've already used, I've used this, I've used the floral. So I think this time I'm going to use this one, because I'm kind of saving the cacti back, because I'm going to do a cactus one with you another time. So I'm going to cut this real quickly. I'll speed the camera up, and what you want to fit here, let's see, your front is 3.5 across, and it is 2.5 tall. So you want it 3.25 by 2.25 approximately. And you know, don't worry about it if it's not perfect, because you can always add decorative something else over it. Or really, honestly, my aunt told me years ago, people do not notice when you've made a mistake, so don't worry about it. Move this so that we're in the camera and speed it up. Okay, there's your pocket. Now let's go to the band that holds the envelopes. You want to cut it 11 by 1 3/4, and then you want to put a fold at 1.5 and 7.25. Now I'll show you what happened to me. I took my sheet, and the first measurement I gave you had an 8.5 inch piece, so I said, oh, I'll cut across this way. Well, that didn't leave me with the 11, so I just cut 2, and I glued them together, and it's going to go in the back so that nobody will notice. So then you want to score or just fold. I just folded mine at 1.5 and 7.25, and that gives you this. It does pop up a little bit. You notice it's solid here, and then it kind of leans out. Well, you want that. You want this space to be able to slide the envelopes in and out. You're going to tie it shut so there's no worry about them falling out. And again, I'm going to use the liquid glue to be sure it holds. And just glue that right down. Now again, you want a decorative layer, and this is, I believe, 1.5 wide by 5 3/4 long. So you want to cut your decorative piece at 1.25 wide and 5.5 long. Okay, oh, that's not as wide as the first one. I thought that didn't sound right. I made a wider band here. This one is, this one is 2 and almost 1/2 inches. So if you like the look of the wider band, go ahead and cut it at 2.5. This one's only 1.5. Okay, so let's put our decorative piece on. Okay, so you can choose which width you like. There's the inside. Okay, so I'm done with the inside of my folder. I'm going to show you, I did add some flowers here. There are some die cuts that were just laying here on my desk. It's the Bloomin' Heart Thinlits dies, and there's a matching stamp set called Bloomin' Love. And so these are just tiny, and when I stamp, when I cut things, a lot of times I go ahead and cut a few extras. So they were here, and I thought, oh, it needs a little something, and I've added those flowers. So I'm probably not going to add anything else. I would say at this time, take your envelopes, slip them in, be sure that your stack of envelopes fits inside of your folder, and let's go on to the outside. Now, the very first thing I'd like to do is glue my ribbon like this onto the folder so it can begin to dry while we're doing the stamping. Okay, so I've cut my 21 inches of ribbon while I was off camera. I also went ahead and cut the parts for the front and I am thinking these are a little bigger than the others were because they're really covering up a lot of the front cover, but I think I like it, so I'm going to leave it. This is 5.5 by 3 3/4, and then I cut the top layer, which is 5 1/4. It should be by 3 1/2. It's reading a little bit over 3 1/2. And I went ahead and rounded all the corners because if you've rounded these, you want to round these to match. So I've done that, and I'm going to just glue this on real quick. Remember I think I mentioned, I had to edit out a lot of the last section because I had my parrot in here and he was squawking a little. So I'm not sure what you're going to hear when you hear this video, but I like to put a little bit of snail on the piece and lay it down and kind of make sure it's centered so that if I make a mistake, it's easy to pull up. Then I go ahead and take my glue and just put a tiny bit of glue. You don't want too much because you don't want this running all over your piece, but you don't want to have it coming apart either, because this is the part that's going to get pulled on as they open and close it, because if it's a gift, they're going to open it several times over the use of the cards. So glue that down, put it aside, and let's go ahead and make the top layer. Now what I've done here is I've used the stamps that come in the Birthday Fiesta stamp set, and I just sort of did it randomly. These are the flowers, the flags, and I guess these are streamers, and then these two are die cuts. So not a lot here. I did more on this one. I just pulled a small flower from another set. I want to say Flourishing Phrases. I pulled some other flower stamps and used them, and it took quite a while, and I'm not even sure you need that. I think this is enough, but that's up to you. And the other thing I did here is I did these little flags instead of the bigger flags, and then I die cut 2 different alpacas. So, you know, use your imagination. I'm going to speed it up and go ahead and stamp my flowers. The colors I used before were So Saffron, Peekaboo Peach, Flirty Flamingo, and Watermelon Wonder, which I think made a really nice little garden of color. Oh, and I used I have the Dapper Denim. I used the Dapper Denim a little bit just to pull it in with the back. But in the meantime, I've gotten 2 new ones. This is the new color Tranquil Tide, and I really like that, and I think it goes well with the Dapper Denim. See? And then I also have Pool Party, so I may incorporate these 2 newer ones into the card. So let's just see how it goes. Okay, so there you have it. I'm just going to close up all my stamp pads real quickly so they don't dry out. I did manage to use that new Tranquil Tide on the center one. I'm not sure it shows up as being real different from the Dapper Denim on the flags, but that's okay. Now the next part is just to cut the die cut banner and the die cut alpaca if you're going to use those. And I did pop those out with dimensionals. So you're going to cut them and then stamp them. and then use your dimensionals to adhere them to the front of the card. I wait until the very end. I wait until everything is assembled before I add those. So right now, I think these are dry enough to go ahead and put this part together. So let's put some adhesive on the back. And just eyeball that and center it on the Dapper Denim part. Looks pretty good. And my card has had time to dry. Make sure you're working on the front part here. And you're going to adhere this one right over the front, over the ribbon to help hold it in place. I think it's okay to use your snail adhesive here. Another thing you can use is called Soup Wang, and I will put a link to that down below. It's if you're watching me on YouTube, you'll see the link. You can get it on Amazon, and it stays on forever. Of course, the advantage to using snail here is that if you haven't pressed it down yet, but you realize it's a little out of position, you can fix it. Okay, so there's the front, and the next thing you're going to do is cut your die cuts. And some people ask me, do I stamp first or do I die cut first? Quite honestly, if it's really tiny, like these little flowers, I would rather, these flowers, I would rather go ahead and stamp first, because then you can position the die cut around it. Otherwise, if it's not tiny, it doesn't matter. Here are the cards for the other set that I had. So what you can do is go ahead and cut out 6 little alpacas. And I used this, I knew it was his necklace, but I used it for a flag, or maybe that's not how they intended it. I don't know. It can be a necklace, or you can turn it this way and it can be a flag. And then I did the same sort of trick with his saddle. This is, that one's double stamped. This is the decoration for his blanket. It's, well, it's right here on the stamp set. But I also tried using some other ones. You see the flag decorations work just as well on his saddle. So this is a really versatile stamp set, and it's kind of fun to see what you can think of. In fact, it would be really fun to stamp some of the flowers around on his neck. I've been wanting to put flowers on his neck ever since I saw this. So when you cut these, if you're doing 5 cards, cut 6 so that you can then adhere one onto the front of your cover. And the same thing with the banners. You're going to want to cut the banners, and these are from Banners for You. They come out like this. There's a center section, and then there's this other one. So the other one is fun, like to switch the colors up and maybe put 2 or 3 on the back, you see, and that you can even do that on your card, and on the front of this. And then I just put For You on mine, because mine are gifts. And then these are the, what are they called? I never remember what these are called. I will put it on the video. And I just put a couple on there and on each one of the cards because I thought they were fun. And then I heat embossed my sentiments in various colors. And then we're going to be done. But this is getting long, so I'm going to make a different video to show you how to do the cards. Just go ahead and do your die cutting if you want to, so that you can finish up this card holder. Okay, thanks very much for listening. This is Crafty Aunt T. Be sure and subscribe to my channel. I have lots more to show you.